Guys, I just got done with a video call interview for the show, and I have to say that it was like the smoothest experience ever. Didn't have any issues or anything, and the video came out almost perfect. And do you know why? It's because I used Riverside. Riverside is your online recording studio where you can record a conversation with any guest online. You can easily record podcasts and videos in studio quality from anywhere, all from your browser or their mobile app. All you have to do is get your setup ready, send your guests a link for them to join, have them join from their phone or their computer, and just chat away. A lot of podcasts that you listen to are probably using Riverside, honestly. What sets Riverside apart is that a recording of your audio and your video is happening locally on your computer. So even if your connection isn't that good, it doesn't ruin the entire recording or anything. Once you've finished recording, you will get the individual tracks of each speaker and also a combined one. You'll receive all the raw files, including that Pepsi crystal clear uncompressed audio and up to 4K video. There's also lots of really cool features where you can edit your video right in their site. So, you're a YouTuber, a podcaster, or streamer, or a content creator of any kind, and you want to have high quality conversations with your guests, please use my link in the description and sign up for Riverside. If you want to support me in the channel, please use my link since I end up getting a cut from the sales. I'm not joking. Please support me. Sign up for Riverside and start recording today. It's the I'm Clifford Today show, live in front of an internet audience. Give a shout out in the chat if you're out there. Let me know. Say, hey, it's me. I'm watching the I'm Clifford Today show. Well, welcome. Welcome, person. Glad to be back. I think it's because of the absence of gaming channels, gaming streams, which, by the way, again, sorry about that. One of these days I'll get back to it. But I think it's because of that. It's made the 2 weeks in between each episode seem longer. So yeah, but anyways, here I am. Hope you like my get up. I feel like I look like a member of Me Without You, and I'm totally okay with that, you know. Today we are joined by Long Live by the Chariot, even though you probably can't really see because it's the foil, not foil, chrome variant or whatever. Probably see the skull that's in there. Yeah, very different from the original cover, but maybe one of these days I'll get the original variant with the original cover. But this was like the available vinyl at the time, and I really wanted a copy of it. So anyways, hope you guys are doing well. Thanks for watching. We got a big show for you tonight. We've got Cory, Saint of Pine Hills, joining us we recorded the interview a few weeks ago, but I'm still really excited for you guys to watch it, and we'll get to that shortly. Got just a couple of things I'm gonna try to squeeze in first. Maybe we got time. I don't know. We'll see. Not really much in terms of housekeeping today. We had Mr. Jesus Freak Eric comment on the last episode, which, by the way, if you haven't checked out the episode with Mixtape Theology, go check it out. But Mr. Jesus Freak Eric says, I'm surprised you didn't talk about Kane's new song, Jesus Music. Have you heard it? Really, it's cringe. And at the time that I responded to this comment, I had not listened to it yet. I need to get back in the game of keeping track of what's going on in the mainstream CCM world, especially if I want to get ready for this year's top 10 lists, top 10 pop song lists. But I actually did listen to it this morning, and yeah, it's pretty cringe. It's not as cringe as I expected it to be, but the thing is that it seems that anything that Kane does is kind of cringe. Like, I didn't really know them that well until they did they hosted the K-Love Fan Awards, and yeah, it's like it's not really anything less than I would expect from them. I kind of expected it to be more cringe, but I survived while watching that music video. It's basically just like, we're going to reference like all the CCM stuff, and you're going to love it because it's references. It's like, oh man, I hate stuff like that. I hate when people try to cash in on nostalgia, you know, not that I ever do that, you know, talking about 90s Christian music and all that. Nothing. No, I mean, that seems like a shot at Mixtape Theology. Not at all. What I mean is, what Mixtape Theology was able to do was able to take that nostalgia and like turn it into something new and meaningful, and I love that. There's nothing wrong with nostalgia. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyways, so before we get into the interview, I guess I was going to try to attempt to talk about something real quick. We had some new news come up, and I thought about, well, what if I did a whole episode on it? But I don't think it's really worth doing a whole episode on it. But Anberlin, for you guys who don't know, I'm a big fan of Anberlin. They recently announced that their lead singer, Stephen Christian, was going to be temporarily stepping down from touring. Some of this stuff is not as clear. I don't know if if they're gonna like stop recording or what. But basically, I think, how long ago was it? It was like 10 years ago. Anberlin broke up, and then I think it was in 2019, just before COVID, they announced that they were coming back together. They made some new music, and this year they made a new EP. They've made 2 EPs since coming back together. And so, but I guess, I don't know, it was too premature of a reunion because Stephen Christian has to step away and focus on his family, and his ministry, because he is a pastor as well. So, and I'm not negating that. I'm not making fun of that or anything. I totally understand. You know, I think, as I've been working on this John James documentary, even though it's been put on pause, I realize the value of staying connected with your family and how important that is. So that's really cool. But I guess Anberlin wants to keep they want to keep touring. And so to solve that problem, what they have done is that they have asked Maddie Mullins from the band Memphis Mayfire to step in. And they posted this video on their social media, so we're just going to quick play that right now. We're going to watch that.
After being in this band for 20 years, we've really noticed that the only constant is change. There's so many different eras of Anberlin, from ending in 2014 to coming back in 2019, and this is no different. In 2024, Stephen will no longer be touring with Anberlin indefinitely. He's not out of the band. He's not quitting. He's just taking a hiatus. But we do have a plan.
I once heard a Native American proverb that said, "There are 2 dogs warring inside of me, and the one that I feed is the one that wins." And it is because of that I have to take an indefinite hiatus away from touring with Anberlin. I've loved it all. I've loved my best friends being out on the road. But at this time, I have to feed my community, my career, but more importantly, my wife and my children. And it's because of that I'm going to step down away from touring with Anberlin.
I get a phone notification. I look down, it says Stephen Christian, Anberlin. I had no clue what I was about to open.
So in 2024, we're so stoked to say that Maddie Mullins will be Anberlin's touring singer.
I remember reading the first line, and as I kept reading, my face got hot and flushed, and my body started to tingle. The text basically said, you know, I need to step away from touring for a while, and I want you to fill in for me. You're the only person that I want to do it. Which still sounds so crazy coming out of my mouth.
Okay, so yeah, gonna share some quick thoughts on that. So I guess Maddie Mullins had actually filled in for Stephen Christian for a couple of shows, I think, not too long ago, and so that kind of, you know, seems like it led up to this. So I don't know how I feel about all this. I guess Anberlin still wants to, you know, like make money and tour, and you know that's fine, you know. But I guess I'd like to know why they couldn't just like all take a break, because it doesn't seem like that. You know, Maddie Mullins is not taking over as the lead singer of Anberlin, and that's what I first was worried about at first when they made this announcement. I was like, oh no, is he like taking over? Is Stephen Christian gone permanently? And he's not. It's just for touring, I guess. So not really sure what's what to think of that. I will say the thing is, here's my thoughts on Maddie Mullins. Is that I've talked about Maddie Mullins once on the channel before, on my top 10 worst songs of Christian songs of 2020, and you can check that out. And Maddie Mullins' song was one of them. But a big reason was because is that like he has a Christian music solo career, and his music just sounds like everything else, everything else mainstream CCM. And so like a big reason why his song was on that list was because, you know, he has a background in hardcore music. Why is his Christian music have to sound so vanilla, you know? So and Memphis Mayfire, I've never really been big on. Like they're fine, and I think Maddie Mullins is a good singer. But as I said in my top 10 worst Christian pop songs of 2020, he has that perfect pretty boy voice that at least when he sings, not when he screams, because he is a screamer. He just sounds like he would like do well on The Voice or American Idol. That's kind of just how he sounds. And the thing is that Stephen Christian has such a unique and he has such a unique voice that is very like stand out, that, you know, if you ever heard him feature on a song, you're like, that's Stephen Christian right there. So his voice is a big reason. It's not the main reason, but it's a big reason why Anberlin is so iconic and stand out so much. And so I don't know. I don't really understand it, but you know, I'm not going to judge. My concern is like how well they expect this to do, because I don't really know how well the touring is going to go. I don't think unless unless they like came to my town, if they played at the Castle Theater here at Bloomington, which Anberlin has done. That was one of my first shows to see here, to see Anberlin. Unless they did that, I don't think I would ever go out of my way to go see a show with Maddie Mullins, because like when I want to see an Anberlin show, I want to see Anberlin, which includes Stephen Christian. You know, I don't want to see Anberlin minus Stephen Christian plus Maddie Mullins basically doing covers of Anberlin songs. So I don't know. We'll see, and I don't know how long this hiatus is going to be. It's indefinite, they said. Hopefully it's not long, because and I don't know if this means that he's going to step away from recording, if they're not gonna like record new music together, because I would really like that. I would really like a full length Anberlin. Stop releasing EPs, even though the EPs are really good. So yeah, we'll see what we shall see. It was a couple days ago. Stephen Christian played his last show for a while. So, either way, best of luck to Anberlin, whatever they do. Hopefully it goes well, because I do want them to make money, I guess. And it seems that like that they are in it because they genuinely love what they do, because, you know, they broke up. They didn't have to get back together, but I guess they just really like to. I mean, I'm not expecting it. I don't think it's a cash cow or anything. They're like, oh, we need to make money, so we need to put the band back together. I'm not. I don't think it's as cynical as that, but we shall see what we shall see. Anyways, enough of that. Let's get into the main episode. We're going to watch my conversation with Saint of Pine Hills. We'll watch a little bit of it, and then we'll come back for a break, and then we'll come back to the episode. So here he is, the man, the myth, the legend. He's the man who's feeling just fine and wants to write sad songs like Julien Baker. My friend Cory. I mean, you guys should know him. He was on my What Is Audio Feed video. I talked to him then. I mean, heck, he's even in the show intro, honestly, of us doing the high five, and I've talked about his music and how much of a fan I am of it. So this is going to be a really cool, in-depth conversation, and I'm excited for you guys to watch this. So sit back and relax and enjoy the show. Why don't my songs sound the same way that they do inside my head? Why can't I write what my heart feels without it sounding different? So, all right. So your EP, Wild and Free, it's been a month or so, a month or two now since you released it, which, first of all, I love it. I gotta say, I'm not just, kissing your butt or anything. I genuinely enjoy it. I was actually at work today. I was jamming along to Doomsday. It's a bop. I mean, I love the whole EP, but what's it been like since the release? Has there been like any sort of like response that you've been able to gauge, and what have you been up to since then?
Yeah, I think the Spotify and streaming response has been a lot better than prior releases. Yeah, because last year was my self-titled. It was just a debut. But these songs I've been playing since 2020. So they were a little past due to be tracked and everything. But
yeah,
I've had good reception of this album. And not really playing a ton of shows, but I have the occasional sporadic show here and there. And trying to focus on more promotions, more digital content, and focusing on that strategy. Right,
because you were on another podcast recently. Is that right?
Yeah, with there's a Stage Mom podcast out of South Florida. It was really cool talking with her.
Okay.
But yeah,
everyone go check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see who's the better interviewer. Cool. So I'm interested. You mentioned that like you've been playing some of those songs since like 2020. What was the process of writing this EP and like finally getting to recording? What did that look like for you?
A lot of trial and error. I would say maybe like at least 3 tracks that were on this EP have been in the works since 2018.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so going from an initial idea to an initial feeling to the thoughts, and then lots and lots of editing.
Hmm.
And yeah, I got to work with Ben Boschin over at Pillowfort Studio in Nashville. That was a really great experience, being able to bounce ideas off of him, and then all the session musicians that worked with me on this record. I've never done anything like that before in the past with former bands, so it was a treat to be able to work with such talented musicians, and hear their inputs and their thoughts on how the song should flow, and what their initial feelings were when they would listen to the demos.
That's awesome. I was curious as to how you went about creating the EP, like if it was so much of a collaboration effort, or if it was more of a independent kind of project. But you went all the way to Nashville to work in the studio, huh?
Yeah, I mean, all the songs, they've been written. The structures are there, but when I demoed them and took them to the studio, that's when they really started coming alive.
Mm-hmm.
And I, the cherry on top for me was when my buddy Seth from Virginia laid down the slide guitar tracks for
Oh.
for these songs, which I didn't even know what he was gonna do. I just said, "Here they are, and whatever you think sounds great, it's all you." And he knocked it out of the park. It was amazing.
It does. The slide guitar does sound really nice. There's always something about slide guitar that just adds to it. I remember doing a Sherwood Forest Christmas EP we did a few years back, and our mutual friend Nick Gundy actually added some slide guitars onto one of the songs. It's like, oh man, that sounds real
What
nice.
what can Nick not play? Jeez,
I know, right?
that man.
I've known that guy for a while, and he's just a renaissance man of
Right?
many talents. It's like I think he was telling me. I think he told me once that I think he has a dulcimer that he can
Oh,
play. I could be wrong, but I
jeez.
wouldn't put it past him.
No, not at all.
Yeah, so I relate very much so to the fact that you were talking about how some of the songs go all the way back to 2018. I myself have struggled to get songs out there for probably that amount of time, like since way back then. Um,
Yeah,
but also, given my experience, I understand how, like, when you give a band a song that you've written, how there's always the chance how it can just like transform.
yeah.
Did that happen on a great scale for any of the songs that you were working on, or were they able to kind of like work along with your vision?
Yeah, they definitely could catch the vision from the demos. Comments and complaints was one that they brought a lot of life to, because for years I've been just playing that one to a drum track that I created like
Mm,
in 2020. And it was just a basic
right.
drum track that did not change. It was just the same pattern over and over again.
Yeah.
So my friend Brad brought a lot to the table, filling it out with all sorts of percussion, and he killed it on drums.
Nice. Yeah, it all sounds really great. Um, and then you
Thank
also had Windwards on one of the tracks too. You actually had a couple features on there. I'm trying to remember. You had, oh yeah, Kelsey Aaron on the
Oh
first
yeah,
track,
yeah.
and then
That's my sister.
oh, okay, yeah, I had no idea who it was, but sounded really good on there, and of course Windwards um, on Rebirth
Yeah,
uh, So how did that come about? Did they also come out to the studio with you to do that?
Kelsey was the only one that was able to because she lives in Nashville.
Mm. Oh, okay.
But yeah, Michael from Windwards was able to track it down here in Florida and sent all that to get edited up in Nash and just bounced back and forth. It was pretty cool how that worked.
Mm-hmm.
I had told him about the song a while back, and we had always knew that I wanted him to feature and write a spoken word for it.
Mm-hmm.
And when the time finally came for that, yeah, I don't know what was going on, but he was super busy with a lot of projects, and he was like, "You know what? I think I actually have something that I've just written and always wanted to use it." He's like, "I'm gonna see if it flows, if it works." And then he just like takes his book and goes through it. And he's like, "Oh yeah, here it is," and it aligns perfectly.
Nice. So did the because he says he has the last line where he mentions wild and free at the end. Was that did that come first, or did like the song and the EP title come after that?
No, it was I think that all came after, where he ended the spoken word piece a different way. I think he had some other uh yeah, just another sentence that closed it out, and then he just
Mm-hmm.
changed it to just to line up with this.
Oh,
Um,
okay, gotcha.
yeah, because the song originally started off in 2018 when I was like in a very very bad place of just anger and frustration. And I kind of wrote the song out of like a knee jerk reaction to all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And over the years, it's changed. And it's funny that now that it's finally uh, tracked and edited, mixed, mastered, it's like the song means something totally different to me, where it's
Mm.
more about letting go of the hurt and the pain and the anger and reconciling those feelings. Even if the person that wronged you, that hurt you, isn't ready to reconcile, it's better for you just to forgive and let go of those feelings towards them. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so that was a pretty big life thing that I had to learn over a span of like 5 years.
Right, yeah. It's I guess you could say that the song had a little rebirth of its own, right?
Hey, please put in like a the or something.
I think actually, it's funny. Riverside has these like little sound effects that you can do, which I'm not usually a fan of like podcasts that do like the soundboard button things,
Right.
but maybe I'll make an
That's awesome.
exception here, see if it works.
Like where?
There we go. Did you hear that?
No, what was it?
Okay. It was just a little here. I hear it on my end, so I
Oh,
don't know
true.
if it's actually recorded, but oh well. But yeah, so anyways, speaking of that song, I read the post that you made when you released the EP when you had all the song explanations, and I always love hearing like a songwriter's story behind the songs. And
Mm.
dude, I definitely very much relate to your story behind Rebirth. I mean, if I don't know if you want to go into it at all or anything, but I didn't know. I mean, I guess we've only known each other a short time. I didn't know that you were in music ministry before I was as well, and I was on staff at a church for couple of years, and then kind of also left it feeling a lot of bitterness.
Yeah.
I kind of realized that music ministry wasn't really what I was cut out for, but also still kind of ended up being hurt by the people in leadership, and
Hmm.
that's just been a whole process for me. So I
Yeah.
I definitely relate to, and I can't imagine having to, having been in it for you for over 10 years. Like,
Yeah.
that would be crazy. So like, what's that been like for you? Like, since, coming out of that, like, obviously you've been, having a lot of, dealing with forgiveness and such, but, yeah. So what's that been like for you?
So yeah, from the moment I was about like 19, 20, that's when I started playing in different worship bands for youth groups, and then I got 21 was when I was given this huge task to lead worship for my dad's portable church and church plant, and did that for about 4 years until they moved away, and then the church said, "Well, we can't pay you anymore." So,
Mm, yeah.
there's
Yeah.
that. Um, and then I moved down to Fort Pierce to join my brother's church, and served with them for a little over 7 years, uh, doing everything from leading worship to leading the AV team. We were also a portable church, so leading the setup and breakdown team, and then towards the end, even leading a small group with my wife at our house, and we did a lot
Now you're
with,
doing everything.
yeah, oh yeah, it was like, yeah, there's not just one role,
Right.
there's
Oh yeah.
multiple roles, yeah,
I'm well aware. Yeah. That's
right.
ministry for you.
Oh, geez, yeah, yeah. So, and it's ironic because within that, I do remember thinking, I wonder what a 9 to 5 is like. Like, and then, yeah, in 2018, I was let go from that job, um, and was with that, not that I was expecting, but was
Hmm.
basically forced to get a 9 to 5 after that, and it was a weird journey for sure, because I thought that was it for the rest of my life. I thought my career was leading music for different churches and staying within that formal ministry role, but
Hmm.
it all came to a screeching halt, and I just had to scramble and figure things out. Um, the jobs that I went into after that were nothing that I thought I would be working with. It was mainly at like a print shop, working with vinyl and graphics and things like that.
Mm.
And I just did it because I knew the guy. I knew the boss, and he's gave me a job, thankfully, and I just did it out of necessity.
Hmm.
So those were definitely some strange years of trying to figure out what's going on with life, and not too long after that, my band that I was in at the time, called Beggars, we were around and really active for about 5 years, and everybody started moving away, and so it was basically myself. I was the only remaining member in the area, and I figured, well, I don't want to make this into a solo project. And I think it's run its course. It's seen a
Mm.
bunch of lineup changes, and that's when I stopped playing for about a year or so, and took all the songs that I had meant for Beggars and used them for Sanctifying Hills, and that's where that was birthed. So all within
Nice.
that weird period of time. It was such
Yeah,
a weird period of time.
dude. I we have like so much in common, honestly. Like, it's really weird. So your dad was a pastor, right?
Yeah, for a couple of years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, my dad was a pastor too.
oh,
Um
cool.
I also, still, I feel like I've still been going through that awkward period of, going from thinking that, like, worship ministry and everything, that was going to be my thing, and that was going to be my career for the rest of my life, and then, ending up not working out, and so now just kind of like figuring out what I'm doing. I also kind of worked at a print shop. It was a more of a poster printing shop.
Okay. Yeah. Same
Uh,
thing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it was only for like a a few months. And also with like the band thing, I did, Sherwood Forest was a band for a few years, and then, drama happened and everyone kind of ended up leaving. And I guess the difference is that I continued Sherwood Forest as a solo thing, because still working with that. But man, I can only well, no, I can't imagine.
You do
like,
know,
what,
yeah. You know
yeah, I do
firsthand, yeah.
know. Right. So sorry, I couldn't remember where it ended exactly. So at least for that part. The interview's not over. We're just going to take a quick break. So apologies, tisk, bad me. But yeah, we got to take a little bit of a break, and then we'll jump right back into that awesome conversation. So don't go away. We'll be right back, and please hang out for this spotlight segment. Yeah. All right, here we go. Hey guys, thanks for watching or listening to the I'm Clifford Today show. Right now we're going to take a few minutes to listen to this week's spotlight artist, Empty Atlas, and their latest single entitled Belong. You can find their music on whatever music platform you prefer, including Bandcamp, where you can purchase any of their music and support the artist directly.
Shut down when I heard the news. Wasn't sure how to get to you, but I tried. Closed in on the interstate. Nothing left but to sit and wait and talk to God. And he's still talking, and I'm still listening, and the earth's still here, and one piece in everything. We don't belong. And so we all belong. We don't belong. And so we all belong. Stood there while you felt it all. All spirit and animal, let it out. Then a quiet I won't forget. You said the work isn't finished yet. I'm not home, and he's still talking, and I'm still listening, and the earth's still here, and one piece in everything. We don't belong, and so we all belong. We don't belong, and so we all belong. And he's still talking, and I'm still listening, and the earth's still here, and one piece in everything. Time's not promised. We'll take what we get, and we choose to give back life while there is life still left to give. We don't belong, and so we all belong. We don't belong, and so we all belong. We don't belong, and so we all belong.
If you're a Christian artist and would like to hear your music in the Spotlight segment, send an email to the address in the description of the episode.
And we all belong.
And now, back to the show.
All right, thanks everyone for hanging in there. Welcome back to the show. We're gonna get right back to it. Also, thanks to Empty Atlas for sponsoring the show. I mean, I guess I'm not at the point where I'm charging for the spotlight, but still, thanks for making great music and being willing to be a part of the spotlight segment. Go check out Empty Atlas. And again, if you guys would like your music shared on this show, please reach out to me. There's an email in the description, and go support Empty Atlas as well. Also, before we get back to the episode, I forgot something to mention something that I said that I should have said at the beginning. I actually have a new song out. It's just a cover. But yeah, new Sherwood Forest music. It's just a cover of "Raise the Roof" by Carbon Leaf. It's just a simple little song that I really like. And so I decided to do my own rendition of it. So you guys can check it out. It's on Bandcamp exclusively. So there's a link in the description, but just look up Sherwood Forest on Bandcamp. And I'm on there. It's the most recent thing. "Raise the Roof," this Carbon Leaf cover. And go check it out and let me know what you think. All right, let's get on with our conversation with Saint of Pine Hills. Yeah, so that's a really crazy backstory to that rebirth. And so, like, when would you say was like the point where you kind of realized that you had to deal with all that hurt and confusion, would you say?
Yeah, it all kind of came to a head last year. Probably around the time that we met at last year's audio feed.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, something really weird happened, and like I thought I lost it mentally. I was just like, well, this is it for me. And I started getting some really weird, intrusive thoughts, and very, very heightened anxiety that I've never felt anything like that. And I'm 36 now, so I was like, in like 30 some odd years of my life, I've never felt anything to that point. And so it was all that I could do every day to just crawl out of bed and try to work and try to maintain relationships. And then honestly, it's like the Holy Spirit's said different things to me just throughout my life. And he'll only say it like within a couple sentences or sometimes a couple words. But I really felt one day I woke up trying to get the day going, and then the thought came to mind of, well, you know that you've been struggling and trying to climb out of this hole that you're in for the last couple of years. Because you're so angry and so hurt with your brother and the church that we were with, in order to see clearly and to move forward, you're gonna have to let that go. There's a lot. I gave it a lot more words, but it was thought something like that where it just came out of nowhere. I think I was like pouring a glass of like coffee or something. It was like a cold brew. I'm like, what? It's like, what? Where did that come from? Something that it's like I wasn't thinking about it at all, but God just like will just drop something on you.
Yeah, I guess that just proves it's the Holy Spirit,
Yeah,
and not just your own thoughts.
Yeah, so I right then and there I texted my brother, who we had a strained relationship ever since I got let go from the church, and we would see each other once a year, even though we live 10 minutes from each other. And so we had a very strained relationship, and I just reached out and we met up and I shared everything. I was like, well, this is what I was going through. This is what I felt. And then he just said, well, man, I'm so sorry. Like, I had no idea. And so what I had been so angry and upset and hurt over for all those years, he had no clue of any of that
Yeah.
until I brought it up. And then we were able to come to a point where I was like, I may not be able to fully reconcile with his church and with all of that I was in, but I can
Right.
reconcile with my brother, because it's like that's what we had before our working relationship, and it's like that's what I would like to have again. So we were able to reconcile our relationship as brothers, which, man, it's awesome what God does when you just
Yeah.
do it, and you move in faith. Because I was like, I'm gonna tell him, God, but he's not gonna care. And then God's like, just try it, man. Like,
It's
come on.
like, oh man, you won't know till you try.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
it was pretty
Well,
wild. Yeah, it took a long time, but
sure. Yeah. Yeah. That's I mean, thanks for being open and honest about that. That's yeah, we've been talking for so long just about the one song, you know. But
well,
but
it's honestly the one song that I know. I put ballad Julien Baker out there as like that's like the single, and that's the one that
yeah.
people recognize the most. But Rebirth was basically what started this project. I had it.
That was the first song that was written.
Yeah, I had it for Beggars, and I was like, it's too slow of a song. I don't want to. I don't think the band would want to play that. And then at that time, it was mainly just like a screw you, like I hate you, like, I'm pissed off.
Very
Like,
angsty.
yeah, very much so. Where I
Yeah.
was like, that's what that song meant when it was first written, and then now it's
Right.
like, okay, taking all of those feelings and then just letting them go.
Right.
And then the huge weight of relief, which helps you feel wild and free, is when you let all that go. What's that?
Yeah.
What's that cheesy Christian catchphrase, bumper sticker phrase? The let go and
let go and let God.
let go.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's truth to it, but
yeah.
it is one of those things where it's like, yeah, I get it.
Right.
Yeah. But that's great. You know, I love all of that. That's one thing that I really love and appreciate about your songwriting is you're very upfront and honest about like you listen to any of your songs and it's like there's no question about like what you're dealing with and like what you're talking about. And one reason why I admire that is because like for me with songwriting, I always have this fear that like being too upfront and blunt about things is going to come off as like cheesy or something. So I have to like mask all of like what I'm trying to say with abstract lyrics and such, you know, and try to like leave it up to interpretation or whatever. But you prove that that you can still like make great and meaningful lyrics with, you know, just being open and honest and
Thank you.
yeah, with your lyricism and such. So is that like something intentional for you, would you say?
I've tried being abstract and like poetic, and then I'm just garbage at it. I'm so garbage. I'm just like, I was like, well, okay. So, when I write,
Well,
I usually just start with an idea first, and then go to a melody and just kind of do like that sing nonsense where you have all the notes there and you're just trying to, and then afterwards I'll fit in lyrics and just kind of repeat like verses and choruses and parts over and over again until it's like, okay, that sounds dumb, and then this better conveys the message. So
right. Yeah, I mean, well, you know, I think that there is a sort of that there is an art and poeticness to writing the way that you write, honestly. you know. It's almost sort of like kind of alternative in its sense, like the way that it is, you know, like you kind of, some people I feel like kind of expect songwriters to be like abstract and you know, mysterious, but you're like, no, I'm gonna get to the point.
Yeah.
You
Here
know.
it is. Yeah.
and so that's sort of like alternative in a sense too, but honestly though, I don't know, there are musicians and songwriters I feel like that do go that route, that it just doesn't come across right. Just doesn't sound right. It's like, oh, this is kind of cheesy. So yeah, that's my compliment to you. And
Appreciate it.
Yeah, man, I definitely felt it like with the first single, with Ballad of Julien Baker, which I will say I've never hopped on the bandwagon, the Julien Baker bandwagon. I have a lot of friends that love her and really got hyped about her, and I was just like, but that's just me. But like, I just love that with that chorus where you're just like getting right to the point. It's like, I want to write songs like Julien Baker, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, I don't know if I've ever heard a song like that, you know, where the songwriter is just like, I want to be able to do this, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that came out of like just the raw emotion that I felt listening to her discography. I was like, God, I can't. I couldn't remember the last time that I was so moved by music. And maybe I had hardened my heart or something like that, but it was just like every single lyric that she sang, it just cut through. It was just like, okay, all right, yep. If I could even do that with like a portion of my music, that would be great. But I was like, every single song that she writes, you're just like, okay, I'm in your shoes. I'm feeling all the feelings.
It's like, stop it right now, please.
Right? Yeah, that's where I have to turn it off and switch to another artist, because it was like, okay, I don't have any more tears left. They're all out.
Dude, that's always such a great moment. I had a moment like that recently, because I also felt like, it's like, man, I feel like it's been so long since like music has like really moved me. And I got that when I was listening to Keith Green not too long ago. He's someone that I grew up with and have always appreciated, but I just kind of like went back to his music, and it was his song Dust to Dust, and is basically just talking about I think it was Dust to Dust. It was one of them, you know. But like, I don't know, just hearing that song for like the 1,000th time, for some reason it just like really got to me with like where I was at, you know.
Yeah.
And so I totally get that. So you just decided to write a song about it.
Yeah, I was like, and just like you said, I was like, why would I write a song about another songwriter? I was like, and then I'm like, well, I guess it does make sense, because initially I just had the verses of how I was affected by the song, or by her songwriting. And I was like, I might as well just say it, like, might as well just name drop, and it's just like, you know, there's a funny story, or it's not really a story. It's a phenomenon more than anything that happens behind that song.
Right.
So my wife's name is Juliet, and when people first see it, I don't know if they see Julien change and then they just add some T's on there or something like that. But I've had so many people that are like, I love that song about your wife. And I'm like, I don't have a song about... I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, yeah.
You're like... You're like next to your wife, and you're like, "Oh yeah, totally, yeah."
She's like, and she'll say the same thing. She's like, "No, it's not about me." It's just like, and then I get into the weird conversation. I'm like, "Do you know who Julien Baker is?" And that's usually when they're like, "No, I don't know." I'm like, okay, well, allow me to
Yeah,
introduce the feels to you, sir. or
they're
not.
like, they're like, I didn't know that your wife wrote songs.
Right. And I'm like,
that's
yeah,
so
she
sweet
doesn't.
that you want to write songs like her.
Right. And it's like, oh yeah,
funny.
she does not.
It's like, also, I didn't know that her last name was Baker.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, I'm just like, it's interesting whenever, because even like one of my best friends had said it, and I'm just like, did you listen to the lyrics? I was like, because I was like, I don't think I mentioned anything like romantically or like lovingly. It's just like, no.
Just like, man, I'm kind of hurt my feelings. You didn't actually listen to the
Right?
song.
I'm like, song's kind of selfish because it's like about myself, but I was like, it's funny though. It's happened numerous times, and I'm just like, I'm trying to figure out or connect the dots of why people think that, but
That is weird.
Okay.
That's funny.
Let's just come along with it. And I'm like, all right, sure. So I guess now I have to, for my next release, I'll write a song about my wife.
yeah, she's gonna be expecting it now.
And which is funny.
It's like, why don't you write a song about me?
Right? Yeah. Well, I wrote one back in for Four Beggars for my previous band. I did write one, and nobody ever said anything about it. Which is the funniest part, because I was like, the song's called "Thank God I Found You," and then the whole song is just like about my former like relationships and journey and everything, and never had anybody be like, "Oh, I love that song about your wife." They're always just like, "Yeah, that one song was catchy." Or something.
You were supposed to put her name in the title so that they know.
Oh, true. Yeah, that's where I screwed up.
Or just put Julien though, because apparently that's what they think her name is.
That is true. Really
that's
confused
funny.
people.
I was curious though, like when you released that single, I was thinking like, oh, I wonder if he's gonna get like Julien Baker fans like just stumbling on the song and discovering that. Has that happened? Do you know?
I had one, and I was just like, they were like, yeah, let's spam Julien's page with this. And I was like, yes, let's do that.
Yeah.
And then
it doesn't.
And then nothing happened. Yeah. I spammed her page, like all her Instagram accounts, her Facebook accounts, Twitter, and I was just like, it's like, somebody on her team, please see this, and nobody did.
That's too bad. We're gonna have to make it happen. I'll get my subscribers to spam her again.
Well, the funniest part about that is when I started this project and was playing that song, Kevin Schlereth, we were talking one time, and then he just name dropped hard on me. He was like, me and Julien Baker once shared a bunch of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches on a curb one time.
What?
I was just like,
really?
Yeah. Apparently she was playing, I think she was playing guitar or something for someone's band that played audio feed like years ago.
Oh.
I guess.
Oh, wait, maybe I did hear that. So she actually played at audio feed.
Yeah. So I don't know when. If I had to guess, it'd probably be like 2015 or 16, something like that.
Wow.
But yeah, I guess
so
she was there.
would have been before like she got like big, or I can't remember the timeline exactly.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure, because even with Boy Genius, I'm pretty sure they were writing together around the same time that they were all doing their own solo projects. And then now, yeah, Boy Genius has blown up so much that yeah.
I actually kind of forgot that she was in that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I remember that like Phoebe Bridgers was in it.
Yep.
And like maybe one or two other female songwriters.
Yeah, Lucy Dacus and.
Right. Yeah, she's the other one.
Yeah. It's like, and they all have like thriving. Well, Phoebe's is of course like the one that blew up globally, and
yeah.
But yeah, they all have thriving solo careers, but. It's awesome that they just were like, yeah, let's write more songs for our project.
Right. Yeah, that's cool. I need to like actually listen to it sometime. Yeah, like for all three of those, I just haven't really taken the time to actually. But the thing is that Phoebe Bridgers is always like collaborating with all of my favorite artists.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh man, she's like with Conor Oberst, Marcus Mumford, Manchester Orchestra, just like
and she
the
did
Killers even.
She did with Bon Iver, didn't she?
I wouldn't doubt it.
Collab with yeah, right.
I haven't listened to much Bon Iver, but yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah, this kind of like same kind of genre. So
yeah,
but yeah, so yeah, it's cool that I just love the fact that you just wrote a whole song about wanted to see. Like, I feel like you're just being honest, like and just like saying what's true for like every artist. I mean, like, not specifically about Julien Baker, but just about our influences. I feel like for me, I wear my influences like on my sleeve. Like whenever I get a song recorded, like you could listen to any song that I've released, and you could probably tell like what I was listening to at the time. And like, but like I'm not honest about it, you know, but you're just like up front out there. It's like, yeah.
Well, you know, what's funny is that I do the same thing. Like, for this project, especially for St. Pine Hills, since it's mainly just me writing each track, I'll take a song that really like moves me and like inspires me, and I'll just try and like use that as my sounding board and take different elements from the song and then go from there. So
yeah,
somebody had asked me, they're like, what album do you want this one to sound like? And I was like, well, there's not one album, but there's a song per, like, there's one per 1v1 kind of thing.
Right, yeah.
And here they are, and they're all kind of different. So
yeah. It's like, just make it work, you know. Well, I'm glad to know that I'm not the only one who does that. Sometimes I feel a little self-conscious about that. It's like, oh man, am I copying anyone?
Well,
you know?
What's cool is it's like, we'll listen to it and be like, nobody will know. Like,
right, yeah.
Even the artists that wrote the song, sometimes they're just like,
true.
Oh yeah, I liked it, but and you're like, it didn't sound too familiar. And they're just like, no, why?
Like the police come and arrest you for copyright. It's like, we know what you did.
Or who was the one? Was it Marvin Gaye, or was it like Al Green, like his family that went and started just suing everybody because they're like, you know, that little line, that little lick in your song? Well, that was my granddaddy that wrote that.
Oh no!
And it was like, and they were suing everybody.
Oh my
but
gosh!
They were suing people that were pretty filthy rich, so it was like, all right, cool, like whatever. It's like, not like they were going
whatever,
after, like,
shoot your shot.
Yeah. It's like, if you can get it, by all means, whatever.
Yeah. My philosophy is that like, unless it's like blatantly like obvious that someone is like ripping someone off, it's like there's nothing new under the sun.
No,
you know, I think I remember there was a whole thing about like Lana Del Rey.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Be with Radiohead, you know, where it was like the same. Well, that's the one I remember. Maybe there were others, but yeah, there was a whole thing with like Lana Del Rey and Radiohead, where like the chord progression for one of her songs was like very eerily similar to Creep, and fans were like, "Oh man, how could you do that?" But Radiohead was just like, "We don't care. Yeah. We're not gonna sue her." You know?
Well, and it's like, I think that progression has been used a lot.
Oh yeah, most likely.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that Lana Del Rey is like popular, I guess. True. So they just wanted to hate on her. But,
right.
But yeah, I had the same thing. What you were talking about earlier about like, oh, what album do you want this to sound like? We had a producer who was like, so what albums do you want this to sound like? And so we just like gave him a little list of the different influences.
Yeah.
So.
And it's like,
I mean,
that's all you can do. And you're like, well, yeah, good luck.
Right. Yeah. And like you said, like you were saying, like usually it doesn't end up coming out like really sounding like that. Like it'll still sound like you.
Yeah.
You know, like obviously you're not gonna come out sounding like Julien Baker,
Right?
You know,
Yeah. I wish.
bit of a difference there. Well, I'm mostly talking about like with your voice and everything, but yeah, I mean, as long as you're putting your own like unique voice into it, I mean, I guess like your sound and everything, then yeah, it's all good.
Oh yeah. I mean, music's
that's what I'll say.
like, there's so many musicians around this entire world. Like, music catalogs are vast, and so yeah, it's
right.
It's like write what brings you joy and what you can have fun with, and then just go from there.
Yeah, it's what's gonna resonate with people, and that's what's most important. And I think your music's gonna resonate with a lot of people. I mean, it resonates with me, and like I said, I really do appreciate just like your brutal honesty, you know, just about like everything in your life, you know, just like the first song you're talking about like dealing with depression and addiction, and you know, in Ballad of Julien Baker you're talking about like your songwriting and how you want to grow in that, and like comments and complaints, just like being honest about like just, you know, thanking God for the little things in your life, and you know, rebirth. That's just a lot of like honesty about like what your faith walk has looked like, you know, and dealing with all of that. So
yeah,
I just think it's great, you know.
it all has come full circle too, because when I started this project, it was like late 2019, and I was like so turned off by like the church and then the Christian music world and all those things, and I was like, I don't want anything to do with all that crap. I was like, I'm so good. This is just gonna be some mainstream thing, whatever. And then as I'm like writing these songs, I'm like, oh well, this is my story. It's like
it's a part of who I am.
And then and then it just like it's funny that when I started it to now, it's like my walk with Christ is so different. And when I started it, it was kind of like, yes, I believe in God, but that's it. And then now it's such a integral part of my day, starting mornings in like a meditation and devotion, and then all throughout the day thinking on and reciting different things I memorized. And it's like, whoa, I would not have expected that when I first started this. Yeah. I was like, I thought I was just gonna be playing like dive bars and like drunken house shows and stuff like that. And then pandemic ruined all that. So
yeah,
shut down all those venues. So it was like, all right, well, I guess we'll see where this goes from there.
Yeah. So, would you did it all kind of start with just working on this EP? Would you say it's like all that change happening in you?
Yeah. These songs,
or at least like writing the songs.
Yeah, and they did help along the way. Like for instance, like comments and complaints was just out of the sheer fact of it's like what's coming out of my mouth is mainly like just negative speech. It's like, but why? It's like, why am I complaining all the time? It's like, there is no reason. And I was like, I'm really just doing it just because that's what I've learned and that's what I've always done. So it's like, but it doesn't have to be like that. So it's like, okay,
right,
cool, yeah. So it's like you can change. You don't have to be what your parents were and what your grandparents were and your great grandparents. Is like there can be a change in you. So I was like, oh, okay, I see it now. I see it.
It's like, I get it.
I'm like, all right, God, it hurts enough.
Stop it.
And he's like, but that's what growth does. He's like, it's called growing pains. And I'm like, ah, oh, jeez. Okay.
Yeah. That's great. I'm curious, like, since all this has been, like, all this changing in your heart and such, I'm curious because, like, I know it's been a struggle for me, but, like, what's been your relationship with worship ever since then? Have you been able to, like, have you been involved in it since then, or not, just kind of like staying back from that? What's that been like?
Yeah, I took a break from it for probably about 3 years or so, 3-4 years.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend. He asked if I would just fill in and just play guitar here and there for his church, and it's like, sure, yeah, okay. So I did that, and that kind of was the thing that roped me back into it, and it was from there that I had friends all over the area within like an hour radius that would come to me and say, like, yeah, if there's ever a way you could come, like, help our church out and play something, or even like lead. And then so it like slowly progressed into that. And then I joined a church in 2020. Joined another church and told them right off the bat, I was like, I don't want to lead worship. I was like, I'll play something.
No matter
in the
what you say.
But I was like, don't even ask me. I'm not even gonna do it. And then of course it went from there, from like leading one song during the set to like leading 2 songs, and then now it's like every now and then I'll lead like a set with the band, and yeah, it's definitely not my main anymore.
Right.
Yeah, God showed me that for sure. He's like, it might be something that you know really well, but it's not why I've created you. And really finding my identity not in that, but finding relearning my identity in Christ was a really big life change. Because all my identity was so wrapped up into being a worship leader that when it all came to a halt, I didn't know who I was outside of that. So yeah, so that's been a big searching journey, and starting to get answers, and to realize that, where it's like, oh well, so whatever gives me a paycheck and gives me responsibilities and obligations is not who I am as an individual. So it's like, okay, that's cool to know. Good to know.
Thanks, God.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
So what are you doing now, like, aside from the music? Like, you mentioned the printing shop, or did you move on for that, or you find something else?
Yeah, I worked there for a couple years, and that was when the pandemic hit. It made me realize, I was like, wow, okay, life is really short, and I missed out on a bunch of music festivals and shows and traveling, and started working just strictly AV with the church, and doing that part time, and then in between all that, started working like Uber Eats and DoorDash, and then I got into videography and started working with a friend's company and doing a little bit of that here and there. So it's been like a juggling of multiple smaller jobs that have been making what I was earning for one job. But then again, I mean, I was wearing a bunch of hats when I was working in formal ministry, so it's like I was doing the same thing, but
I can
under
imagine.
one umbrella.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of, I mean, basically same story right here. So, but things are working out, it seems. Things are working out for you.
Trying to move forward and see. I was like, God kind of said recently too. He's like, just start filling out applications and just see what happens. He's like,
Yeah.
even if you get no's, he's like, just do it and then see. And
Yeah.
because it's like, well, I'm not getting any younger. I don't want to just keep hopping
Yeah.
from job to job for the rest of my life. And it's like, well, you're not gonna have to, but just trust. Just have faith that
That's great.
you will have the right thing will come along. So
Oh yeah.
yeah,
sure.
that's been the plan most recently.
Yeah. Well, we're in a very similar boat. But cool. All right. Well, before we go, if you still have time, I
Yeah.
don't know how late you had. This is something that we're gonna be doing. I'm gonna try to do for every interview. Kind of stealing this idea from the Black Sheep podcast, which is they're a podcast that like interviews a lot of like metal and punk bands.
Cool.
And, so I'm kind of putting my own spin on it. So I have asked Cory to give me maybe, I don't know if it's your top 5, but just 5 of your favorite Christian albums. And that, how I define Christian album is like pretty broad. You know,
Mm-hmm.
It can be like mainstream CCM, it can be indie alternative, it can be, like any genre, it can be metal, punk, whatever. So yeah, give us what you got for us, Cory.
Yeah, I thought long and hard about this. Number 1 is I'm just kidding. I couldn't really.
Wild and Free.
Right, yeah.
By this awesome band, Saint of Pine
Right.
Hills.
He's this super humble guy. I couldn't really narrow it down. There was a lot of albums that I grew up with listening that my parents didn't want me to listen to anything besides CCM or jazz, and I'm just like, how is that? Like, do you know the story behind jazz? Now I'm thinking this now. I'm like, the story behind jazz and like the culture of jazz. I was like, I don't think it's what you think it is, because they were just going off of no lyrics, and I'm like, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's like, well, there is some lyrics in jazz.
Right there, and that's not what you like either.
Yeah, not all the time.
So I've got a I didn't put it in any order. It's just what came to mind first.
That's fine. That's fine.
Satellite from POD was a big album that I listened front to back often. And that, I think that was
Nice.
wasn't that the one that kind of like catapulted them into like the mainstream with like?
I feel like it had a lot of the hits. Yeah. It had like Youth of the Nation, Boom.
Yeah.
Those are the first 2 that come to mind.
Even the Satellite, the album title song, like, jeez.
Yeah.
And then I don't
Dude, that's
know.
so funny. I was thinking of Youth of the Nation earlier today. Like, I hadn't listened to it in forever, but I was just thinking, I was like, man, that guitar part at the beginning and throughout the song is pretty cool, actually.
Bow, bow, bow. And it's like, what would you even call that album? I'm terrible with genres. And then I know that they always got rap rock as their thing, but it's like, I don't think that album is that.
It's a whole bunch of different things. Yeah, it's like kind of new metal-ish.
Yep.
It's kind of rap, rock.
Don't they
metal,
have
sorta?
Let's see. There was one track I think they had on it that was almost like a punk reggae, and then it goes into like a weird, without Jaw. Is that on that album?
Yeah, Without Jaw Nothing or whatever.
Yeah. That was like, oh man, my friends, we would blast that and
That's
then
a good
do our own push pit in like somebody's living room.
I was gonna say it's a good moshing song.
Yes, yeah.
That's for sure.
Yep, Without John Nothing, and then we were like, wow, he's talking about God, but he's not saying God. It's like, it's like
we get the message.
Yeah, we hear you loud and clear. And then I talked with crap, what is his name? I just had it. I talked with
Sonny.
with no, not Sonny, the bassist.
Oh, Sonny's the only name that I know.
Trey. I talked with Trey at Audio Feed this year after he played.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he played with
because he's in that band.
That super group band.
Yeah, I forget their name, but I remember hearing about that, and I missed their set.
Yeah, he was.
But
I was just sitting there watching him the whole time. And then of course he sound checked with Boom, like
awesome.
And I was just like, don't. And afterwards, I was like, man, you really teased us with that. I was like, I was so disappointed that you didn't cover it.
Dare you?
Jeez, that would have been so amazing. Or even like, because I think that band had the drummer of Demon Hunter playing.
Yeah,
the big
like
guy. Yeah, I was like, oh, and then they didn't play any of their songs. They just played all this newer. I don't even know what you would call that vibe.
Yeah, I don't know, but that's cool. That's awesome.
And
you
then
got to talk to him.
I've got a video of I used to ride what I would thought was BMX, but it was just me riding a 20-inch bike throughout my neighborhood, jumping off curbs and homemade ramps. And I remember shooting a terrible video to Boom while I was trying to do tricks on a bicycle, and it's so funny to watch now. I'm like,
it's the perfect soundtrack to it.
Yeah. Oh man, it was like I think every action sports like
yeah, it's used in sports a lot. Yeah, I remember hearing that in what was that Adam Sandler movie, the longest yard or whatever. I think it's in that movie too.
Yeah, football. Yeah. Yeah, and then so that wasn't like the very, very first. Going back to like the very, very first album that I'd loved from front to back was OC Supertones. Was Supertones Strike Back, like, and then I don't know how long they stuck around for, but it was like they kind of just dropped it on us. Everybody loved it, and then they just disappeared, kind of a thing. Where
yeah, didn't they stop and then they came back or whatever?
Yeah,
or they had some sort of reunion.
They kept changing it. It was like started off as Supertones, I think, then it became OC, and then it's like
oh yeah, but weren't they gone for like a long time, and then they had some sort of like reunion? They made a new album.
I don't know. I haven't really followed closely.
I might be wrong.
Because the resurgence, yeah, I know that they were. What was this? Yeesh. Yeah, I don't know when their last release was.
No,
but like I wasn't, and I didn't even know that was like technically ska back when I was listening to it. But I was like, wow, I was like, this music's fun, and he's saying some stuff about God. That's cool too.
It's rock with horns in it.
Yeah. It was like it's not quite punk, but it's like, and then didn't he do like some random rap parts too? It's like,
yeah, there was some rap in there. Yeah.
Oh man,
that was popular around that time with Supertones and POD. You got to put some rap in it, and that makes it cool.
Right? Yeah.
Maybe we should bring that back.
Right.
Bring rap back into rock.
Oh. Yeah, it'd be like the new Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we could make it cool again.
Right? We could have a resurgence.
Sure.
Another one that I bought only at a Christian bookstore because that was the only place I could buy music, or that I thought I could buy music at that time.
Right. Yeah. Same here.
I had their earlier albums. But MXPX, the Ever Passing Moment album was really what I loved the most from their earlier releases. Because it was kind of like changing from a traditional punk band to like almost like a pop punk band at that point.
Right.
Like Responsibility, songs like that. That's my favorite album from them.
Yeah, I never got on that bandwagon either.
Oh.
I was more of a Reliant K guy.
Yeah,
and I actually didn't know about MXPX for the longest time until I was like older and started getting into more tooth and nail bands, and I don't know. I just never really gave them a fair shot. So, but I know a lot of people love them, and they're like basically like the Blink 182 of Christian rock.
They're really fun live, and like they always put on a great live show. That was actually my first show I ever saw. I think I was like 12, maybe.
Nice.
And
that's a good way to get into shows.
And it was so funny to think about it because they were the headliners, and their opening band was Good Charlotte. And so it was like, wow, that was an interesting dynamic.
Yeah. I always love hearing stories like that with like bands opening up for other bands and they end up becoming more popular later on.
Right.
You know.
Yeah,
that's funny.
That was definitely an interesting show. And then going more so I know we're not that actually, how old are you? Or
29.
Oh, yeah, so we're not that far apart, like 5 years, give or take.
Yeah.
I don't know about for your the church I grew up at. It was like a gigantic church of like 5,000 people, and then for the music portions, it was always either just straight up hymns with like a ginormous choir and orchestra, or it was like Sandy Patty songs, where it's like all these like very theatrical songs.
Yeah.
And I was just so turned off by any of that. And then everything on the radio at that point was all just like was it Amy Grant and artists
Michael
like
W. Smith.
Yeah. So needless to say, when I first started playing worship songs, I was like, I don't like any of this. Like,
this is not good.
Yeah, and then Chris Tomlin started slowly creeping in at that point, and then it was like, okay, I guess I can sing that. But
it's got more of a beat to it.
Yeah. The band that changed it all for me though for that was Leland.
Oh yeah.
When they came out, I was just like, whoa, okay, this doesn't sound anything like worship music, but I like it.
Yeah.
They did an album called Opposite Way that was totally different than their first release. Because the first release still had like those worship ballads on it and stuff like that.
Right.
But then they did Opposite Way, and it was like a full on like rock album, like indie rock album almost. Which I really loved that, and I saw them live like twice. And they just brought it every single time, just high energy, and I had not seen anything like that in the CCM world.
Yeah, I was hoping that you were going to say The Great Awakening. That was the album that I really got into by Leland.
Yeah.
I just love that first track, The Great Awakening. It's a great opener to the album, and the rest of the album was really good too. I saw them. They did a concert at a youth convention that I went to. They were like touring with Brandon Heath.
Oh yeah,
because I think they like.
I think I saw that.
They did a. Oh okay, yeah. It was an Assemblies of God youth convention thing. It's called Momentum.
Okay.
And every year they used to have like a big artist come and do like a concert for a night, and it was Leland, Brandon Heath, might have been someone else there too, but I think they like did a song or an album together, and that's why they were touring. But
I saw that same tour.
But sure. Nice. I don't know how old I would have been, probably like 17.
Yeah, I can't remember when that when that was, but that was after like it wasn't Waymaker, because isn't that like newer Leland, like Waymaker and all that, like.
Yeah, that's a bit more recent. Even though they didn't write that song, a lot of people covered it.
Right.
Yeah, their most recent album I listened to because I was curious about. I think it's called the Kingdom of God, something like that. And then they had the cover with a picture of the Tower of Babel on it, and it kind of caused people in the comments to be like, "Why is it called Kingdom of God, but it's a picture of the Tower of Babel?" You know, and I forget what their explanation was for it, but it was like intentional. So I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. I kind of like that," and so it got me curious to listen to the album, and the album was all right.
Yeah.
It had a couple songs on there that I really liked, but it was meh otherwise.
Yeah,
but,
that's disappointing. It's like they started off so strong, and then it was like, and then I guess there's always a point.
Yeah, I feel like they kind of morphed into like the rest of the whole like modern worship movement, you know.
Yeah.
So whatever. I mean, I guess that's the CCM machine,
Yep.
you know.
That's true. Yeah, my last one, I thought he had put them all together. But do you remember when John Foreman dropped like all of the different seasons, the EPs? He did like
Oh yeah, for Limbs and Branches.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So
Dude.
he did put them all onto Limbs and Branches, right? Or
yeah.
So he had like I can't remember which season was first, but when he dropped that one, it was just like, whoa, okay, like this guy's writing like straight up psalms, but he's making them sound like great.
Right.
And I'll still like even at the church I'm at now, I'll still lead "Your Love Is Strong" from time to time because I'm like, nobody has written a song that encompasses the Lord's Prayer like so perfectly, like John Foreman did with that track.
Yeah.
But I loved all of those EPs, and
yeah.
I even loved them more than a couple of Switchfoot's EP or albums. I was like,
no argument there, honestly.
I just wondered where John was hiding all of those, or was he like, oh, I like that, and I'm gonna keep that in my pocket, not for the band.
Right? Yeah. That's crazy. That's Limbs and Branches. For me, it's got to be like at least in like top 10 Christian albums for me personally. Yeah. Maybe even top 5. It was very influential for me because I at the time like the album came out, I was kind of into Switchfoot. I hadn't really like dived that much into them. I had been listening to them for a little while, and then my older sister knew that, and so like for my birthday, she got me Limbs and Branches. She's like, "This is the guy from Switchfoot." I'm like, "Oh, sweet," and like it was like a game changer.
Yeah.
Like I loved it, and I still love it to this day. So much like Your Love Is Strong. I also led that in worship as well. But like also like all the other songs, like I just love the way that he talked about faith and also like relationships and things going on in his life as well. And I didn't even know that it was like a joining of different EPs that he made. I thought that was just the album that he made, and I found out later. In fact, I think there are some songs that didn't even make it on the album that were still also really good. But I think it was that album that also like got me into like folk music, like indie folk sort of, you know.
Yeah, it was such a different vibe. White as Snow with like these I don't even remember the names of the instruments that were played on it. It was almost like a like a traditional like Chinese folk music kind of thing. He would use these instruments on it. I was like, whoa. Like, I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah, John Foreman did it.
He's like, I just had an acoustic guitar, and then I asked everybody else to play.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's so good, and like up there with like some of my favorite Switchfoot albums.
Yeah.
And you know, I miss that too. Like, I feel like it's been a while since he's like been able to like touch that sound. But always a lot of respect for John Foreman. Very, very influential for me,
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure. So,
Well, and
that's some great picks, man.
I don't know if did you ever see I think they did a video for it after they tracked it all together during the pandemic. They did a cover of Transatlanticism from Death Cab, and
Oh,
whoa,
no, I don't
like
think
they
they
did
did.
such a killer job. I was like,
I know they did that covers EP.
oh, I don't know if it's on there.
Was it? I don't. Let me look.
Yeah, I don't know if it made it on there, but I just remember they had like all of their personal like phone videos of them playing along.
Right. Yeah.
But
I think they were just on a big like covers mood.
Right.
Where is it? Okay, so there's a chance that I maybe didn't even know, because like I also have yet to. I've had a friend who's been trying to get me into Death Cab for Cutie, and I need to do that one of these days. So
you won't regret it. Ben Gibbard is a mastermind lyricist.
There's already a couple of songs that I already enjoy from him. I just need to dive more deeper.
I think it's called New Year. I think it's just New Year, but it's on that Atlanticism album. But
yeah, that's one of the ones that I know. I actually listen to it every New Year.
That was the first song I heard from them where I was like, this song is perfect. And then I was like, I remember being mad because it ended around like right before 3 minutes, and I was like, I need more. Like, why? Like, why couldn't you just keep
Why'd you stop?
going? Yeah. And then I listened to Transatlanticism, and I was like, okay, well, there it is. They picked it back up and did like a 10-minute track.
Yeah. That's I don't know why. I have no excuse. Like, I like that song, and I don't know why I've not listened to the rest of the album.
Yeah.
I have no excuse.
Just dive into that album. The only way I listened to them was, and this dates me a little bit, but I had a Microsoft Zune that I bought. I think I bought it on eBay or something like that. And then the guy that sold it to me was just like, yeah, sorry, I didn't clear any of my stuff off of it. So feel free.
Oh, okay. So you got some free music.
Oh, I had my music world just broadened drastically when I got that Zune. He had so many albums of Death Cab on it that I was just like, I knew a couple of songs here and there, but I dove into all of that head first and was like, wow, this guy's got great taste in music. The Microsoft Zune did not rival the iPod like they wanted it.
Dude, I wonder though if it was going to, it probably would have by now, but I don't know if you saw the latest Guardians of the Galaxy.
Unfortunately,
movie.
yes, I saw.
Unfortunately, you didn't like it?
It was rough. It was such a rough movie.
It's like emotionally. I mean,
yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was like,
but I love it though.
Well, I tell everybody
it is a lot, but
animal lovers, I'm like, just don't watch it. Just do not.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like, it's
for sure.
so
but,
rough with that element. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true, but like maybe that's why I like it, because like it tugs on the emotional heartstrings,
Oh yeah, yeah.
But anyways, they have I'm pretty sure it's a Zune that they have.
I think so.
Where he plays the music on. So I was like, oh, I wonder if it's like gonna make a comeback because of that. Like maybe people going on eBay and trying to buy ones. Like, oh, Rocket had one, so I want one too.
I think the only reason I ever gave it up was because I'm pretty sure it just glitched on me one day, and then it was almost like as if it got a virus, which I was like, how does that work?
I mean, that's Microsoft for you.
True.
Yeah.
And then
Apple always had those like built-in antivirus things,
right?
So it's probably why they succeeded and Zune and any other MP3 player didn't.
True. Yeah.
I don't know. But
yeah.
Do you ever? This is like a weird like rabbit trail to go down, but did you ever watch Epic Rap Battles of History on YouTube?
A couple of them, yeah.
Okay. It was like the old days of YouTube,
Right.
but they had one where it was Bill Gates versus Steve Jobs. And there's that line that I remember where Steve Jobs is like, "You will never, ever find a virus on an Apple." And then Bill Gates is like, "Well, you can still afford a doctor if you bought a PC."
Oh. Dang.
That just came to my mind. It's bars. Bars right
yeah.
there. Anyways.
Big
Well,
rap
awesome.
battles
That
of history.
Epic Rap Battles of History.
Wasn't that did Comedy Central do that or I didn't they pick
I don't
it up
know.
or something like that? Where I think I remember watching some there.
I don't know. I dropped off at a certain point, and I didn't really know much about the creators behind it. So there's a good chance. I think it's still going. I think it stopped for a while, but I think they're still doing it. It's just not as big as it used to be.
Whoa.
It's kind of that era of YouTube is gone, basically.
Right, yeah. Oh, I mean, looks like they're still doing good with almost 15 million subscribers.
Okay, well, maybe I'm wrong.
Whoa.
Maybe I just dropped off and everyone is still loving them, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure. Almost a year ago was the last video, so probably.
Oh, okay.
Probably not too
Moved on to better things.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to watch these again. Ronald McDonald versus the Burger King. might have to watch that.
Oh man, good stuff.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm not recommending it or anything.
Yeah, no
It's
plug
just-
here.
That was a thing that I watched as a youngster.
Oh man.
But anyways, I gotta say that's a top tier list that you got there.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
thank you for indulging me. That's just something that I love to hear. I love hearing what other like musicians and songwriters that I like what were inspirations for them, and like what do they enjoy. And like, since this is a channel like mostly focused on Christian music, I'm curious like what my guests if they have any like favorites in Christian music. So
Yeah.
it's good to hear.
Yeah.
So.
And it's funny that I think what we were saying earlier, like I'm pretty sure the members of MXPX don't claim Christianity anymore.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
know
not
anything about
sure.
Supertones. I don't know what happened with all that.
I'd be surprised if they like weren't Christian anymore.
Right.
That would be I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess you're hearing stories every day, of certain people, so but
I listened
guess
to can't remember the name of it's Labeled. Have you ever listened to that podcast? The Truth and Nail?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I listen to them every once in a while when it's like mostly especially when it's an artist that I'm more familiar with, But yeah, it's good stuff on there.
Yeah, they had I listened to the one with Reese Roper off of Five Iron Frenzy. And,
okay.
and that was a really, really cool story that he went from the beginning to and brought it all the way to the present. So that's like
that's cool.
3 decades or 4 decades, something like that, of
nice
story. It was a very long podcast, but he basically said the same thing. He's like, whereas all of them started off as Christ followers, he's like, it's really, I think him and one other guy, and then the rest of the band's like agnostic. It's like, oh, okay. It's like, well, I guess if you play for 30 plus years, and people always tell you to either stay in a church or stay in a bar, like you're just kind of like, well, whatever.
Yeah. And it's kind of gotten to the point where like hearing those kinds of stories is refreshing. I hear so many stories, especially from like the tooth and nail kind of circles and such. So many stories of people like, yeah, no, not really a Christian anymore, you know. We're speaking of labeled. I did listen to the one that came out not too long ago. The former lead singer from Hawk Nelson.
Oh wow. Okay.
Great story, because like he left the band and he basically did leave the faith for a little while.
Oh wow.
And then God just kind of started moving in his life again, and he's back in the faith and doing music and being plugged in at doing ministry at his church. Like, oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's refreshing to hear.
Yeah, I mean,
so
they did a song with Drake Bell, so that was cool.
Oh yeah, that hasn't aged well.
Right? Yeah.
Oh well. I mean, Hawk Nelson has already kind of tainted their own name as of late, anyways.
That's true. Yeah. Talk about going down the CCM rabbit hole that they.
Dude, like I once did a video where just like for a minute I kind of ranted about that, and I took certain bands and I played one of their old songs and then I compared it to their new songs.
Yeah. Oh man.
And whenever I played that for friends, and I did that with Hawk Nelson, everyone always laughs, when that happens, because it's it goes from all the girls and the boys and people making noise, and then it goes into I am falling, can you catch me? It's so hilarious. It's like the comedy writes itself.
It wasn't like one of their first singles, let's back up and move to California. And
the
Canadians
California
singing
song.
that. I thought that was hilarious. I was like, you don't want to move to California.
I mean, hey.
What are you talking about, eh?
Yeah, I guess not California. I would argue America is better than Canada, but California's not the first place I would recommend.
Right. Yeah. I was like, okay.
Sorry, Benjamin Daniel.
All right.
If you're listening.
Snap,
yeah. Anyways, man, this has been a great and fun conversation.
Dude, yeah,
I love connecting with you about just music, listening to music, and also just the songwriting. Do you have any plans? What are your plans from now? Working on any new stuff or playing shows or what?
Yeah, I've got the occasional show booked here and there for the rest of the year. Mainly just hanging around down here in Florida. Probably won't get out of the state until next year, but bunch of new songs in the works. It's just I've got probably about 4 or 5 that I've had just in my head for the last 2 years or so, and it's just finding the time to sit down and demo those out.
Yeah, you're all backlogged, and gotta catch up with your own songwriting.
Go through the audio recorder on my phone and listen to all the ideas that I had. And it's what would we do without technology?
Right. Yeah, dude. I came across something that I recorded years ago, and I just dropped, and I was like, this is actually not bad. I might do something with this.
Yeah. And if you didn't have that soundbite, you'd be like, I don't remember that at all.
Right. Yeah. I was like, oh man, I totally forgot about this.
Yeah.
So,
which I think
always.
Yeah, I think I have one. So I have one, and this song goes way, way back to when I picked up a guitar and actually started trying to play at 18. So I've got a song that I wrote back then where I'm looking at it, I'm like, I could do something with this.
Nice. So, that's always fun when that happens.
Right, and that's been sitting in a notebook for over 10 years or kind of thing. So wow, how that works.
It's like, oh wow, good job, younger me.
Right? Yeah, you wrote something that wasn't total trash with
it. Right. Exactly. Well, that's cool. Well, I imagine people can follow you whenever you do release those songs on, on Facebook, Instagram, all the places, I imagine.
Spotify and Apple Music, so I'm just Signifying Hills, yep.
Yeah. Bandcamp, support the artist directly.
Yeah.
That's what I always try to encourage.
Right. Bandcamp Fridays or
Oh yeah, Bandcamp Fridays. Is that like is that once a month?
I have no
whenever
clue.
that happens?
I think it is once a month.
I've never been able to keep track.
Right.
It's like whenever we feel like it, it's Bandcamp
Pretty
Friday.
much, yeah.
It's like it's Wednesday. No, it's Bandcamp Friday now. It's like, okay.
They're like,
fine.
do you want the money or
Cool.
not?
Right. Yeah, it's like, okay.
All
I
right,
guess
sure.
so. Cool. All right. Well, we're gonna end the recording of our conversation. I won't hang up on you, but thanks again so much for being on this show. I mean, it's about time that we sat down and had a long form conversation. You know, you're a friend of the channel, but I love getting the chance to dive deep into a lot of these things. So thanks so much for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate you.
Cool. All right, go support Saint of Pine Hills on all the places, and listen to some good music, some great music. So, all right, cool. That's I mean, I don't know. Cut.
Yeah, right.
All right, that was Saint of Pine Hills. Thanks. What a great conversation. I enjoyed just sitting back and listening to that again. So thanks so much, Cory, for being on the show. You guys make sure that you support him, support his music and what he does. And yeah, it's a great conversation. Just loved getting into the nitty gritty of, you know, the backstory of all of his music. And it's also, like I was saying, it's also just fun hearing the kinds of music that people like, and loved hearing his selections. So yeah, let me guys know what you thought of the conversation. Anything stick out to you? Anything really stand out that you really resonated with? Just let me know. Let me know in the comments. And yeah, also let me know what you guys are thinking about the interviews so far. I know we've done 2 more. We got 1 more left, at least that's on the back burner right now. And, you know, I'll let you guys know what the next one is at the end of the show. So yeah, we have a little bit of a longer episode today, and I'm still gonna get through some quick reviews, really quick. I don't want to keep you guys much longer, but yeah, we're going to get into my humble opinion. So, also, I know I said that I'm going to work on some sort of like stinger or bumper for my humble opinion. Still haven't gotten around to that, but I really want to. So I got some ideas. But anyways, so first up, probably the biggest release as of recent, John Mark McMillan, or McMillan. I still don't really know what is right, but he released a new album called Deep Magic, and he kind of just like sort of just dropped it all of a sudden, even though he's been dropping singles for like a year now, just gradually and slowly, never really mentioning anything about an album. So that's kind of why I say that just kind of dropped it. It was like a week before, and he's like, hey, new album's coming out, here we go. So yeah, and I'm a big fan of John Mark McMillan. I really love Mercury and Lightning is probably my favorite from him, and I also really loved Peopled with Dreams. It was different from Mercury and Lightning, but still a close cousin to it. And now Deep Magic just kind of feels also like a cousin to Peopled with Dreams. I really love it. So the only thing that I would say is that I'm kind of getting tired of and I think Evan, I think that's his name, from Jesus Freak Hideout podcast, was saying the same thing. And I agree. Not really. He wasn't really talking specifically about John Mark McMillan, but I'm kind of getting over artists releasing like 70% of the tracks on their album before the album's out. I think there are very few artists that can pull that off. Gorillaz did that with Song Machine. They basically released like 90% of the album, and the thing was is that like almost every track was really good, and so it kind of like pulled you along as it was they pulled you along as they were releasing the tracks. And Peter Gabriel is doing a similar thing now too, just kind of like releasing a single every month. And I think that's fine. It's just that when an artist releases like most of the tracks on their album, and then there's like they release the album and there's like 5 tracks that you haven't heard. And I don't know I don't know if I really like that. It's like I don't know. I feel like it just kind of ruins the experience a little bit, because I like sitting down and listening to an album of songs that I don't really know. It's like, okay, this is a new experience. But when you release like 70% of your album beforehand, it kind of loses that magic for me. I don't know. Let me know if you guys feel the same way. So that's kind of how I feel about Deep Magic. Don't get me wrong, it's a really good album. And there are a lot of tracks on there, whether they were singles before or not, that I really love. I think that Deep Magic is a bit more of it's kind of a mellower track, definitely when compared to Mercury and Lightning, because Mercury and Lightning had all these like big, bombastic tracks. And not to say that that's not evident here on Deep Magic, but there's definitely more songs that are a bit more mid-tempo, kind of. But there are some bangers on there. Standout tracks would have to be Has It Been You, Roaring Thunder, Deep Magic, Love with a Crown, Awaken the Dream, Re-Enchanted World, Atlanta. So a lot of really good tracks on there. I wouldn't say right now it's not really his strongest, in my opinion. But there's a lot there is a lot to appreciate about this album. I mean, John Mark McMillan, I've always appreciated his style and production. I don't know if that's really him or his whatever producer he's working with, but he's always very interesting in putting like very interesting sounds in his music, and that's definitely still evident in this album. And lyrically, I think I feel like John has been on a sort of journey with his last 3 albums. Mercury and Lightning has, in my opinion, I haven't really listened to either of those previous albums before in a while, but I feel like Mercury and Lightning had a lot of doubt in his lyricism. Still a little bit of trust, but mostly a lot of doubt in him wrestling with a lot of things. Peopled with Dreams kind of was more of like coming to terms and accepting that doubt, and being okay with it. And this album seems a bit more like I'm coming to terms with trusting in God and in the mystery of everything. And I think that's really cool. A lot to appreciate lyrically and a lot to resonate with on here. This might be more of a grower on me. Like I said, it's not my favorite from him, but it's still good. I don't think John Mark McMillan has made a bad album, even though I need to go back to his earlier part of his discography. I mostly just listened to Mercury and Lightning and Peopled with Dreams. So, but yeah, I would highly recommend it. Deep Magic by John Mark McMillan. He has yet to disappoint me, really. So yeah, go check that out.
Jesus, Jesus, save me from the tyranny of the familiar.
Yeah, that's the music video for that song is pretty interesting. Actually, I like it, but it's out of context. It's like, what are we watching? So go check that out. That was the music video for Love with a Crown. So next up, we've got an interesting release. So Phil Joel, you guys know I'm a huge, classic old school Newsboys fan, and so I've always been a big fan of Phil Joel and his music, his solo career. So whenever he comes out with something, I'm definitely going to listen to it. And apparently there's been this collaborative project going on with a lot of different Christian artists. It's this project called A New Heaven and a New Earth, and I assume that it's going to be, like a full-length album. And basically what the concept is it's about, Earth. It's about protecting the earth, basically. It's kind of an environmental. I don't think that it's the vibes that I get, it's not about, global warming or climate change or anything. It's mostly just about, something that us Christians don't really talk about that much. It's just like taking care of the earth, which I think is important, not that I'm not some like doomsdayer climate change person. I don't think that they're trying to be that either. But I think it is scriptural to say that we need to take care of the planet while we're on it. Not that we're going to like destroy the planet. I don't believe, because I don't think that that's biblical either. But it's like, taking care, don't litter, do what you can to conserve the planet, just being good stewards. And I think that it's an interesting message, to want to portray. But like I said, not a lot of people talk about that a lot in the church. And so, I'm open to it. I'm down for it. And so Phil Joel and a bunch of other artists, we've got Aaron Cole, we have I think it's Jason Roy and Don Schaefer. I think Jason Roy's from Building 429. And then we have Mariah and Phil Joel. And I don't know if there are any other artists that are included in this, but they've been releasing singles. I haven't listened to all of them, but I've listened to the ones that Phil Joel has been involved in. He released one single a few weeks ago, and that was like while I was off of YouTube for a while. And then he made a collaborative track with Jason Roy and Don Schaefer called Our Common Home. The other single that he did was called Arms Around the World, and I think it's interesting. I was kind of expecting it to be like some like generic mainstream CCM, but it's got a little bit more of a heart to it, and maybe I'm biased because like honestly, I'll listen to anything that Phil Joel is on. Like I hear his voice and I'm automatically happy. So I've got no problems with that, but I think it's pretty good. If you like Phil Joel, then you'll like these tracks. Very lighthearted and heartfelt, I would say. Nothing that's like going against the grain musically, but it's happy music and very inspirational. So I don't know. I would recommend those. A New Heaven and a New Earth. I'll probably give a review for like whenever the full project is out and give my thoughts on it. But for now, I've only listened to the Phil Joel tracks, Arms Around the World and Our Common Home. So yeah, go check those out.
I wanna throw my arms around the world. Wanna throw my arms around the world. Lord, help us hear the cry of the earth. Sleep away.
Also, I'm so sorry to the one guy that kind of got Mike Wazowski'd there with the album cover in front of his face. That's gonna happen. I'm sure. Not intentional at all. I just couldn't find any room for you. So yeah. All right. And next up we got friend of the show. He is we have featured his music before. Chase Tremaine, who is also you might also know him from the JFH podcast, the Jesus Freak Hideout podcast. Well, I mean, just JesusFreakHideout.com in general, but he has his own music. I think he was a spotlight from the last episode, spotlight artist. He has a new song called Time, and I think it's a really cool track. It's got a sort of like haunting melody and chord progression to it, and I'd say it's kind of like minimalistic in its production, mostly just like guitars doing this like really cool loop sound to it, and like I said, very very haunting. And I haven't really read the lyrics to it, but it's got themes of that kind of remind me of like Ecclesiastes, trying to find the meaning to life, but then finding it in Christ. I hope that I'm getting the themes for that right. Either way, it's a really cool sounding track. Chase Tremaine also released a cover album recently that I'll admit I haven't listened to yet. I haven't had the time. It came out after this single, but yeah, go check out that. I think that's on Bandcamp as well. But this is just me reviewing the song Time by Chase Tremaine.
If a bold-faced lie can be my truth, then I've drunk from the fountain of youth.
And I think that's it. I had like one more. You know what? I'm just going to do it. I don't care. It's been 2 hours, whatever. I don't think that's the longest episode I've done yet, but I had this one thing that I had to talk about. So some of you might think that my humble opinion is just me recommending music that I like. No, I try to branch out every once. Well, I try to check out whatever music is out, whatever I think would be interesting to discuss. And there wasn't much else. I might have missed a few releases, but there really wasn't much else going on that was worth talking about. But in my Spotify feed, release radar. So last time we talked about this new Sixpence None the Richer, Leigh Nash. I pronounce it Leigh Nash. I heard someone say Leigh Nash recently, but I think Leigh sounds better. Forgive me if I'm wrong. But so they had a new track. But also, Leigh recently collaborated with this band that I've never heard of, The Ascendants, on a cover. And normally I wouldn't really talk about it. I don't really like talking about covers just because they're since they're not original works, I don't really like talking about them that much. But this one really grinds my gears because it's a really bad cover. And this isn't on the fault of Leigh Nash. I don't know what she's doing or what she's doing on this track. I mean, she's the best sounding thing. So, okay. There's a lot to process. This is a Talking Heads cover. And here's the thing. I've been getting really into Talking Heads lately, and they're becoming one of my favorite bands, honestly. I've finally been getting into their discography. I recently watched their Stop Making Sense live film in theaters, IMAX and 4K, and I've just been in love with them lately. And Once in a Lifetime is a terrific song. And for some reason, this band, sorry, no offense if you're watching this band decided to cover this song and decided to bring Leigh Nash in on it too, to like sing the chorus. And it's so bad. This is just one of those examples of people who cover a song and I feel they just didn't get it. I mean, I will say that musically, it's interesting musically, but they got the time signature wrong somehow, and I'll talk about it, but I just wanted to play a little bit of it for you guys. Just play like the verse and chorus. So just bear with me on this. Got an interesting start to it.
And you may find yourself
But then this
living in a
happens.
shotgun shack.
And you may find yourself living in another part of the world.
And you may find yourself behind the wheel of a large automobile.
And you may find yourself in a beautiful house with a beautiful wife.
And you may ask yourself, how did I get here?
Letting the days go
There's
by.
Leigh Nash right there.
Letting the days go by.
Water flowing underground.
Into the blue again.
After the money's gone.
Once in a lifetime.
Water flowing underground. And you may ask yourself.
Okay, shut up. Sorry. I'm sorry. I don't think it's good. Leigh Nash sounds fine. Leigh Nash, sorry. But like, I don't know what else is going on with this song. Now, like, I'm all for, covering a song and putting your own interpretation of it. But it just, for me as a fan of this song, it just bugs me because there's something off. Well, first of all, the verses are terrible. Whatever they're trying to do, like, and you may find yourself living in a shotgun shell, and it's like, it's just not David Byrne, that's for sure. David Byrne is like doing his own thing. He's like, and you may find yourself living in a shotgun shell, and it's consistent. But then you've got all the band members like taking turns going like, and you may find yourself living in a large, beautiful house, and you may find yourself. It's so cringy. And also, I got to talk about the chorus because like, I feel like they got the timing wrong because the way the original, they have like the downbeat wrong somehow. Because I feel like, I mean, it's the original song is a very like interesting rhythmically kind of song. It's very unique rhythmically, but it's still like pretty straightforward where like, see, now I have to rethink the song because this cover has messed me up. Yeah, so the downbeat has to start on like just before that line. So it's like, letting the days go by, let the water hold me down, letting the days go by, rolling underground. But the way that they do it in this song, it's like they're doing, letting the days go by, let the water flow me down, letting the days go by. And it's just off. So, sorry. I know no one else is going to care about this. And, like, it's a really weird release. Like, I tried to find the Ascendants on Spotify, and this is their only song. So, I don't know who these guys are and why Leigh Nash is collaborating with them. But, I don't know. I just thought it was so weird, and I had to talk about it. But, yeah, I don't know why this exists. But it's funny. It's funny. Let me know what you guys think. But that's my humble opinion. That's a weird addition of my humble opinion. And yeah, I think that's gonna do it for today. Again, sorry this was a longer episode, but I don't care. It was a great conversation with Saint of Pine Hills. Once again, go check him out. Go check his music out if you haven't already. And next episode, we have another special interview with our friend Benjamin Daniel. Yes, he's coming back on the show. He was my first interview for the show like last year. And he wanted to come back on and talk about his new album. So that's it is a great conversation. I can't wait for you guys to hear it. So please tune in 2 weeks from now and check out that conversation with Benjamin Daniel. And but yeah, until then, that's gonna do it for today. So Thanks, guys, for checking out this episode of the I'm Clifford Today show. Be sure to leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. If you leave a review, I'll give you a shout out on the show. I'll read the review, and it'll be cool. Also, leave a rating on Spotify. You can do that. Let me know what you thought of the show. You can respond to the Q&As in the episode on Spotify. Whatever platform you're listening on, just leave a rating and review if you can. Podwood Forecast, we had our recent episode on Barbie and Oppenheimer, so that's a really interesting episode, and we're working on a new episode. It's our 50th episode, so we're just gonna kind of just talk about whatever in the next episode. So stay tuned for that. Be sure to like and subscribe if you liked what you heard. Buy my new buy merchandise. Got shirts and such. Got mugs and everything. Link in the description. Also, new song, Sherwood Forest song, the Carbon Leaf cover, Raise the Roof. Link in the description for that. And I'm still working on the Days of Noah video. Been really busy, but that's what I've been working on. But love you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in today, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. And remember, I'm Clifford today, and you're not. I usually forget to say that, but anyways. Bye-bye!